Hi, Graham. How you doing, buddy? Can you hear me? Good evening, everybody. Here we go. People are coming in. Please write down if you can hear me loud and clear. Here we go. Hi, Steve, Amber, Dorte, Debbie, Graham. Can you guys hear me good? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Xavier. Cyber formations, Morocco. Yassine, how you doing? Good, you're on board. David, Ralph, Volker, Moritz, Kirsten, Robert, Frederic. People coming in. We're gonna wait a few more minutes so everybody can get the heads up. Then we're gonna start this party. See if more people are joining. Here we go. Robert from Vancouver, how are you? Alan Conway. Hoe den haar doen? Alain? So, see if we got more coming in. Here we go. Fedor, how you doing, man? Fedor Gorst, the world champion, joining the party. Wow. See if he has some questions for me. Not about the Mighty X, Fedor. You know that. We ain't talking about that. Amber, groetjes van Marcel. Groetjes terug. Long time no see. Miss you guys. We got some people from Greece. Miss Fevlilova is here. Fevilova. I butchered it. How are you doing, Margaret? Alan says nice Danish. Yeah. Working on it here. I got a lot of time back at home now. A lot of Danish. So, any more people are joining in, please let me know where you're from. If you can hear me loud and clear. Volker, Roger Schmidt from Switzerland, how are you doing? Welcome. Cool. Okay, testing. All right. I think we're gonna get underway here. This is also the first time for me, Q&A. Q&A, guys, questions and answers, right? So you get a chance to ask pretty much any question you want about my new course, The Mental Edge for Competitive Pool Players. I hope you've all seen the commercials and the ads and all the information coming by this last week. Very exciting stuff. Very excited about it. Here's more people coming in. Matthias, Wesam, Egypt, really cool. People from Egypt, Belgium. We got Ralph from Germany, Sonnekrom, my man. Jochen's on board. Venezuela's on board. Bulgaria, wow, cool. Rick from Ohio, super. All right, guys, we're gonna get going here. Like I said, Q&A. You can ask any question you want, but let's try and keep it on course for the new course, right? So let's try and keep it mental, questions about the mental side, and then at the end we're gonna do 10 minutes, 15 minutes where you can ask me anything about the game, but just cool stuff on the table, right? So we're gonna have a lot of fun. First, I wanna just do a quick introduction about the course, how this came to be, because it's pretty new for everybody, and it's kind of the first mental course out there. And the story behind it is that for years playing pool, I felt that if you would ask any pool player, right, that you were talking with about the game, and you would ask him, hey, how much do you think the game is mental, right? Everybody would say 80%, 90%. Correct? Am I wrong or am I right? Like everybody would say this. But at the same time, I felt there wasn't anything out there really for pool players. And I thought, like, these players just don't have any tools to do anything with this. And of course, me, myself, and I was working really hard. No, I'm just kidding. But I was always interested in this part of the game. So I was always reading books, which I still do. I was taking one-on-one sessions with really good sports psychologists. I was having more one-on-one clinics with people. And I thought this was super interesting. And over the years, I think, like now I've been a professional for 20, 25 years, and I thought now is the time to share all this knowledge with you guys. There's nothing out there. Upcoming players, young players, experienced players, league players, pro players. I think there's not enough tools out there to work on the mental side of your game, and that's why I made this course. People have asked me these recent days, they said, are you stopping to play professionally? Are you just becoming a full-time coach now? I said, no. It's not about that. I just felt that now was the perfect moment to do this. So don't worry, I'm still going to compete. But of course, I had a lot of time now, right? Everybody's struck with the coronavirus, which is horrible. I hope everybody's doing okay. For myself, I've been home for almost 9 weeks now, so I had a lot of time now to finish this product, which was extremely exciting. I had to learn a lot of stuff, I had to videotape, analyze, do a lot of cool things, and then this course came about. Hi Peter, hi Andreas, Frederic, Olivier. So we keep rolling here. So guys, later on, if you have questions, please write down big question, because there's the chat on the side, and then if I scroll back up, I can see, okay, boom, question, and I can go over it later. So we're going to start with the mental questions in a minute, and then we're going to finish it off with some pool questions, right? So back to the story. The course, so I started working with the course, and to sum it up, the course has 4 chapters. Right? I felt, how can I do this? How can I present this to pool players? Well, I thought, first of all, we need a mental foundation, right? How can we train our mental game to make it as solid as possible, and so we can feel great mentally and therefore physically? Because if you have a strong mind and a healthy mind, that will translate into a better game. Fact. So you have to create tools like mental space, meditation perhaps, visualization, self-awareness. We have to look at pressure, how this works. All these topics are covered in the foundation of the course. Super exciting stuff. Then, in the second chapter, we go into what you can do before the match, right? For me personally, I think the hour before your match, that's where everything starts kicking off, right? That's when you have to start focusing. Some people want to do it on their own quietly, and other people, you see, they want to chit chat and they want to get that energy out. Everybody's different, and that's why we cover both sides of the story. There's no right or wrong with this. So super cool stuff. Getting ready the way you need to get ready. That's what we have to find out. Then the third chapter is about mental match play. So the stuff that's going on while you're playing your match. And this is, of course, that's where everything happens. If you see people going into a match and things aren't working well, and they go like, and the match is over, right? And then you have other people that maybe are a little bit more mentally skilled than you, not talented or all that stuff. Fedor, I know you're listening now with the talent thing, but mentally trained, I should say, and they can climb the ladder of feeling weak to start feeling a little bit better, to start feeling pretty good again in a match, during a match. So how do we do this? Well, we're going to attack beliefs that you have about your game, about past histories. Expectations are huge things, right? If you have expectations about how you're going to play your match, that's going to make you passive, stuff like that. Instead of having a goal, which is going to make you very active and excited and hungry. Expectations are make you passive, frustrated, and you're going downhill with your focus also. Stuff like that. Then we're going to look at tilt in the mental match play. Tilt, mistake tilt, bad luck tilt, opponent tilt. You've played maybe an opponent many times before and you've lost, and before the match even starts you're already working on this opponent. Things like that, super cool stuff. Then the fourth chapter is about after the match, post-match feedback. So I've created a couple of loop systems that you can use after the match or tournament. You can analyze your match, your result, what went well, what needs work, take it back to the practice table. So instead of sitting in your room for hours and being sad and grumpy and frustrated and having a bad day, 15 minutes of this and you're good to go again. You can have a great day. And then there's some bonus things. There's the event scheduler. I show you how I plan my events with numbers of priority, how I train for that block of events. So I go like this and that with my rest, building things up. Very useful. There's a book list, right? All these things are bonus, these last two things. And then the total package is 33 videos. You get the workbook. You get quick learn guides after every chapter. And then you get 30 minutes of Skype after the course one-on-one with me for your questions. There's the iPhone app that you can use for this to study. We have the book list, and we have, of course, the subtitles in 3 languages. We have German, Spanish, and Chinese for all the videos. So that is the total package that we have for the course. So does everybody hear me? And do you understand what I just said? Cool stuff. Let's see. We got Mike Pinazzo. We got Lene Feldberg. Ooh, there's a lot of people now. Casper. Cool, guys. On Fred Dinsmore. Here we go. Cool. So we got a couple of questions coming in already. Super cool stuff. In your hand, one was from Richard, and he had a really good question. We're going to start with that one. He asked me, in this Corona time, let me check it real quick. How can I simulate the pressure, right? How can I do, I'm alone. How can I simulate any kind of pressure situation so I could use your mental course to work on my game? Very good question, because people right now are not competing, right? They're competing in online forms occasionally now, which I would highly recommend looking into. And if somebody has tips and links, can you please share them in the chat where people can sign up for online competition things, playing the Ghost, so we can all learn from that where we can go. Right now in the chat, please, that would be very, very welcome. So my answer for Richard is, if you have a table at home in this period of time, in the Corona time, then I think it's very useful to challenge yourself by playing the Ghost and to live stream this. Try to make some challenges, put on the Facebook Live like I did now, and let people see you. And then if you see, whoa, 30 or 50, 100 people are watching how I'm running this rack, this will do something with you. Instead of playing all alone, now you miss a ball, you don't care, maybe. Or 50 people are watching and you want to try a little bit harder, correct? So try to make challenges beforehand. Maybe you can announce it online. I'm going to play a race to 21 against the Ghost, a race to 11. How creative you want to be. Pick a game that you find challenging, perhaps 9 ball, 10 ball. Really good players can go for 12, 13 ball. You break the balls and you take ball in hand. You try to run the rack. If you run the rack, you get 1 point. If you don't, Casper the Ghost. gets a point. That's how you play the ghost, right? And then whoever gets to a certain number first wins that race. So it's you against the ghost. If you're all alone, it's not very competitive, but if you turn on the stream and you announce it and you say, I want to do this and this, and maybe you want to make a few small side bets on it to make it even more interesting, now you're putting some pressure on yourself and you can test yourself in this time. So try to use that. I think that's a good tip. And see how that goes, Richard, for you or other players. So let's see. Darren Appleton's on board. Stian, how you doing? Long time. We have Barry's there. My man Katja Jensen. Cool. A lot of people here, guys. Exciting stuff. So let's see. I have a question here. Does the course also include some pool drills, tactical stuff, analyzing on the table, and can I repeat the chapter as often as I want to? The course is solely for the mental game. You will never see a pool table on this course except behind me when I'm talking to you. There's a pool table in my house. So the course is only for the mental game because I felt there was already so much great content out there right now, like Darren Appleton's workouts and Feijen, of course, with the Billiard Brothers, right? These guys are online now. They have probably the best drills out there at this moment. So if you want to work on your game on the table, I would highly recommend looking at drills from these boys. But if you want to look at your mental side, right? We spoke about this 80%, 90%, like a lot of players say. That's where you can come to this course, right? It's about the mental side of the game. So we're not going to talk about push-outs, kick shots. We're going to talk about what's going on in your mind during a match, before the match, after the match, and in general. And you can use this in your life as well. Very powerful stuff. Like I said before, I felt pool players didn't have the tools to work on their game. Therefore, it became a gray area. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't know how to train this, how much to train this, and now they do. So that's why I put it on the market. So let's go over another question. Aziz, kind of the same question. Do I need a table to take this course? No, you don't. Especially in this time, in the Corona time, a lot of people do not have a table in their house, or the pool rooms are not open yet. So for this course, you don't need a table. It's only mental. And then somebody asked me, well, if I'm not competing, how can I use the course at this moment? Well, if you go over the workbook and if you watch the videos, you can immediately get memories of matches and things that happened in the past that refer to that topic. Because that's the way how we humans work. If we have a bad loss, it's going to stay with us. It's going to stick with us. And we need to talk about it. And we have to deal with it in a constructive and positive way. We can bury it. It's going to come back up in a match. So it's better to bring it out in the open, look at it constructively, and then deal with it. And then you can start putting it aside. So no, you do not need a pool table. So, Claudio Wojciech, I hope I say it right. Hello, champ. How are you doing? How do you get back mentally after a huge mistake? So, good question. And this is something that we all struggle with from time to time. And I would refer to this as mistake tilt. And in the course, I'm going to say this also. I have done this hundreds of times myself, mistake tilt, and so have pretty much every player on that's in the chat now and that's on the planet probably. So mistake tilt is basically when you make an error and you're letting it affect your, first of all, your focus, you're getting frustrated, and this together leads to anger, and that's going to lead to bad play. So actually what's happening is one mistake is going to lead to more. You're going to play worse, and that's a trap. We want to try to avoid that. So the first thing that we need to develop and train in this course is super important, is our awareness, self-awareness, and we got to catch ourselves quick of when this is starting to happen. So if we start sitting in the chair and these things go fast, right? And usually it's very negative self-talk, like, you idiot, how did you miss that ball? You're giving away the whole game, blah, blah, blah. Am I right or wrong? You put it in the chat now, right? I think I'm pretty right. We've all been there. So we have to try and stop this negative cycle as fast as we can, otherwise it's going to tear us apart in the match. So first of all, if we can catch ourselves quick in the moment, then we have to ground ourselves. We have to get out of this anger and frustration. We do this by breathing. There's a lot of breathing exercises. For example, you can breathe by counting. Take 4 seconds of deep breath in, hold it for 2 seconds, and breathe out for 8 seconds. Or you can breathe in for 5, hold it for 2, out for 10, depending how nervous you are. What that does is it takes you out of thinking how bad you're playing. It's actually making you focus on something very constructive and positive. Your muscles are going to start relaxing more. You're going to get more oxygen in your brain, and therefore you're going to recover. And then what we can start doing is using something that's called an inject logic. Very, very powerful stuff. And that's the only thing else you have in the chair at that moment, guys, is the way you talk to yourself and how you come back from this. So you've made a terrible blunder. You've missed a 9, right, to take the lead towards the end of the match, and you're just blasted, right? Sit down, be aware of what's happening, start breathing right, and tell yourself, for example, something like this. I've made this mistake, but I'm actually playing really good, and I'm going to keep that up, right? Something very basic. Say something constructive to yourself that can keep you on track and not go into this negative spiral, okay? Or we could say something like, mistakes are going to happen. Don't let one mistake turn into more, right? Basic stuff, something you can remember, and we're going to use all this stuff in the workbook, and we're going to train, you're going to train yourself. Question. Alban, how are you doing? Dirk Schwedes, Chris, Dennis Grabe, how are you doing? Wow, we got a lot of good players here too. Nice little mixed group, guys. Let's see if there's any questions before Dennis. I saw, then we see Stefan. Put question in front of your question. Yeah, for people who just joined in, good one, Frederick. If you would like to get your question answered, please put big question before your question, because I have to scroll back up and then I can see it a little bit better. Stefan Persout, my brother-in-law, on board. How do you keep practicing when your motivation's low? Great question, guys. I think this comes back to the free course, actually. Goal setting. Masterful goal setting for competitive pool players. Motivation is a tricky thing. If you don't have a clear goal, the trap is you wake up in the morning, maybe you had a bad night of sleep, and you don't feel great. So what happens to a lot of players? They start slacking off, right? Their energy is low, and they don't do the right things anymore. They maybe skip a routine in the morning that they would normally do. For example, meditating, right? If I've done this many times too, like where I've slipped. You skip a meditation. Your plan was to train 3 hours. Now you play an hour and a half, and you feel tired, and you say, oh, I'm going to skip this. What's important, guys? What I teach in the free course already, the goal setting course, you need to have that list, the why. Go back to the why. Why are you doing this, and what is it adding to your life, right? If you want to bring out the best of yourself, if you feel you have more to give, right? to your fans, to your family, to yourself. If you feel you have another level in you, that's what you're battling for, guys. That list you have to have in your pool bag or on your phone or wherever. If you're feeling weak, boom, take out the list, and if that should fire you up. Those 3 or 5 reasons, and you look at them, that should spark you up. That should do something with you. And if it doesn't, the reasons aren't good enough. You got to put in a little extra time, right? I don't have them in front of me right now, my reasons, but they're in the course. So if you go in the course, I name the reasons, and my personal reasons. If I read them, they really psych me up emotionally. So it's really good stuff. So that's the answer to the question. If the motivation's low, go back to the reasons, check them out, and feel that energy building, and get back on track and finish that day, finish that workout, and go on to the next. Maybe you need some rest, take 1 day off, boom, back at it. Okay? We have a couple of technical questions that we will go on. We will go over in about 20 minutes. Hunger, Dennis Graber has a question. How do you keep your motivation, concentration, and hunger for the game after playing a few decades and winning most of the titles you can win? First of all, thank you, Dennis. If that refers to me, or maybe you're talking about Efren, I don't know. But if I can take it personally, then once again, the motivation side is what else do you think you have to give, right, to the game? I have periods where it's also up and down. But for example, I still haven't won the US Open. That's one thing that's eluded my curriculum for pool. I have a personal goal for the Europeans, for example, to try and win 10 European straight pool titles. I've won 7 now. I want to try to win 10. That's a personal goal. Start little things like that, or little. They're big, but if you feel you have something else in you, that's what it's about. And I feel I have another level in me to give, and it's all about taking these roadblocks away, right? So you can relax more, focus better, and therefore perform better. So I feel if I look back to when I was younger, like 20, then you're like super hungry because you want to climb the ladder and you see all your heroes and you want to get there. But of course they say one thing is to get to the top and the other thing is stay at the top. We've all heard that. So once you're there and you've won one big tournament, now what are you going to do? Well, you want to stay there because you feel you have more levels in you. You got to try and stay on top of your own game. Don't try to compare yourself with somebody else, right? That's a trap. I'm going to talk about that one in the course. Try to compare yourself to your best self, right? So what do you want to be? And look at that, and then go to work. That's a big one. So I hope that helps for you. I don't want to forget, I got a question from Lucas Anderson from Sweden. Lucas, my man, I hope you're online. He asked, did you ever have moments in your career where you were thinking a lot of who you were playing? And did it affect your game? So opponents that got into my head. Of course, first of all, of course, there's always going to be some players that for a while you might have a bad record against. I won't name any names, but I had a Filipino opponent that had my number for a couple of years now. And it got in my head. Yeah, you're right. It got in my head. So I remember the last time I had to play this gentleman, the thing was, again, it was kind of an opponent tilt, what I mentioned earlier on, right? Before the match started already, I was like, oh man, I got to play this guy. So then I was aware of it, right? I caught myself doing this. I said, wait a minute. We're not playing this guy. I'm playing the game, right? This is It sounds so simple, but when you've lost to somebody, it's pretty big. We really have to start focusing on the game and don't even look at him when he's playing, perhaps. So when I did this and I really started to focus more on the execution, take it one ball at a time, try to play simple position, try to play good safeties when I was out of line, and then I got rewarded, right? I broke around the last 2 or 3 racks in that match. The last time we played, I'm not going to say it. And finally I got rewarded. But there was also a couple of times in the past where I went on full tilt in matches, also because other things happened with the rack, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. I learned from that. I had to stay composed, big one, and play the game and work on it when you're in the chair, right? That was a big one. I had to remind myself in the chair what I was doing, my game plan, keep talking to myself, right? And I got rewarded. So let's see. Guys, I'm going to take a sip of water. 1 second. Hope everybody's okay. Nice. So, let's see. Good one. Catalin, is that how you say it? Catalin Muresan, the worst enemy is yourself. Strong, but in a way it's true. We have a question from Caroline Hagen. Question, any tip what I can do when you run the rack and suddenly you're getting intensely nervous when there's only 1 ball left on the table and the little voice in your ear says you'll miss it. Woo, yeah, we've been there. We've all been there. So what do you do with the nerves when you're at the table? I would think what a lot of people are actually, what they're afraid of nowadays is actually to show that they're nervous. So we try to build this shield around ourselves, like, oh, we're handling it really well, well, actually we're not. So maybe at that moment, a good tip for you, is to walk back to your chair. And I've seen players do this, and it actually looks really powerful. They go back to the chair, they take a sip of water, they wipe their cue, and they get ready for the next shot. The other thing you can do is go into the shot and rush it and miss it. And now you're going to feel horrible, maybe. So if you feel this nervousness building up suddenly, whoa, it's like overwhelming. Try to calm yourself, calm your nerves. So breathe, right? Take a couple of really deep breaths. Take that sip of water. I saw Filip Stojanovic do this, really good player from Germany. He did this at a Euro Tour in Holland at a really, I think it was 8-8 in a match to 9. And I said, man, this is really an example of composure, and he really wants to win. And he's taking his time, and it showed that he was nervous, but there's nothing wrong with that. We all feel the same. Everybody on board here feels the same things. So he handled it very well. He took his time and he finished the game. So he could have gotten up there, blow the whole next ball, it would have been over. He would have gotten out of there really quick. Fine. No, he wanted to win and he took his time, right? So try that. And then another thing that's important here, that this may be something that you carry over from a previous match or previous event where something happened. You may have missed the ball and you come into the same situation in the next tournament or match and it's still fresh. I call this in the course open wound. It's still there and you get like, whoa, what's happening? I thought I took 2 weeks vacation and now I get back to the pool table and this feeling is still there of a ball you missed on 10-10 or 8-8. You have to realize that will not stay forever. We all feel the same things and you just have to keep competing and it will go away. So you have to trust yourself. There's nothing wrong with your game. We all share the same emotions. Just trust that you will get through this and stay with it, right? Stay on the right path. Good question. Boo. Let's see. We have Caroline. Was there any questions above that? Can everybody still hear me? Thumbs up. 1. Okay. Technical question. Thanks for Q&A. Oh, good question. Casper Verstegen. Question. Thanks for the Q&A. You're welcome. How can we guard against overconfidence? Oof. This is, in the course I go over this, it's called entitlement tilt. I think this is super interesting because we've all done this. We get into this mode, we have to play this guy and he's 3 divisions under us, right? And I got this match, this guy's a hanger. And even a lot of professionals still have this attitude. Oh, I got this is nothing. I'm going to beat this guy, I'm going to drill him, blah, 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 blah. Overconfidence. What happens when we're overconfident? We're not focused. We don't have a goal, right? Maybe we have less motivation, what we spoke about with Stefan earlier on. These things are traps, mental traps, and they are making our focus less. And what do? They make us vulnerable, right? Because if we're not focused and if we're not ready to play, then we can get beat. So overconfidence is a trap. We have to be aware of this again, right? Catch yourself doing this. This is already half hour before the match. If you're not preparing well and you're not taking this match serious, something's wrong. Then it could be you're overconfident. You're taking this match too lightly. You have to get back to your goal and say, listen, I'm not playing this weaker player. I'm playing this whole tournament. I want to win this tournament. I want to get through this match as quick as I can, and I try to use it as a great warm-up if it's a really weak opponent, right? I want to really play sharp against this player, come out of the gates strong, and put him away fast, right? I think that's a good mentality to guard yourself against overconfidence. So I hope that answers your question. Then, Annette, welcome. Right around the corner here. But good of you to join. Cool. Let's see. We have another question. Dean. Yep, I went over this before. Dean, how and where can you practice if all pools halls are closed, guys? It's a horrible time right now with the corona, and the weird thing for me is also that all the countries are on these different levels of the virus, right? I live in Denmark, and my kids have been in school for 3 weeks already, and people in the US are just getting hammered with the virus. And like in Brazil and other countries, it's still terrible. So I just hope the best for everybody. Some countries, people really have to stay patient. But at the same time, this could also be a moment to work on your mental game. I don't say this because I want to sell the product or that to take advantage of this. But if you do not have a table and you cannot play and the mental side of the game is pretty big, then try to work on other things for your game. Visualizing, pick up a new technique like meditation, working out, creating mental space, just studying, reading, stuff like this to help your knowledge get better and get your mind in top gear, right? In the end, your mind is going to steer your arm and your arm is going to make the balls. So the coronavirus is horrible, and I don't know when we're going to compete again, to be honest. I hope still this year, but who knows? I think we have to wait for the vaccine. But therefore, the mental side is actually even stronger and more important to get ready, work on tools. So when we can compete again, we're going to be fresh and motivated to get going. So I hope that answers your question. So we do a few more minutes of this while time is flying, and then we're going to go over a couple of technical questions. We looked at a question for the nervous side. I think I covered that one. Let's see. Lucas, you're welcome, buddy. Dennis, Grabe, you're welcome. I meant you for the titles. Thank you. What is the number one contributor to negative inner voice? Ooh, Matthew Moorhead. This is this is an interesting question. What is the number one contribution to the negative inner voice, and how do we combat this? Let me think, because I think if you're, I find this interesting because when I got kids, I could test this faster. I call this mental fitness. How fit I am mentally. When I have kids and my kids are eating and it's a little bit chaotic, what happens? One of these glasses on the table, boom, with milk. All the milk over the table. Now, if I'm mentally fit, I just go, I pick up a cloth and nothing's wrong, right? If I'm mentally tired or jet lagged or whatever's happening in my life, I'm like, I told you, right? So that's an example of how fit you are mentally. And it's just a way to test it. I think nowadays, people, it's my personal opinion, I could be wrong, but I'm saying this from experience. Nowadays, I feel people are mentally not as fit anymore because there is just so many inputs constantly and we're draining our mental energy. And I don't mean this to insult anybody. I'm just saying this objectively from my point of view, what I see around me. I feel a lot of people, are on the phone too much and they're draining themselves, right? So if you drain yourself and you're not getting mentally fit, what happens? You start getting negative chatter in your mind because you're tired, you're frustrated, and you start talking negatively. So how do we combat this? We have to look at a couple of very simple steps that we can take to reverse this project. One of the things is creating some mental space. It's a topic from the course. Simple things, guys. Sitting outside without your phone off, getting some fresh air, some sunlight for maybe 30 minutes, and you're like a plant. You're gonna blossom, right? You're gonna be more clear, you get more energy, and then you go back to the pool table. Go for a walk, 30 minutes. Same thing. Don't do anything. Let your mind just dump, system dump. Then you get more fresh. Sports, outdoor sports, swimming, indoor swimming. There's nothing around you. There's a pool, do laps, your mind, wellness, painting, cooking, you name it. Whatever works for you to create mental space. That's the number one thing, right? Now, you can take this as far as you want. You can add meditation, right? Clear, see your mind for what it really is. I've been meditating for 20 years, guys. A long time ago too. 20 years. And it's given me incredible moments under pressure. When I've meditated like really long periods of time, like blocks, like 2 times 20 minutes a day, I carry that over into my games, and under pressure was unbelievable what sometimes happens, like the zone. People, players, athletes, they call it the zone. When everything's like clear, feels like slow motion, your focus is boom, up there, right? And your body's totally relaxed. The ultimate state to be in as an athlete and a pool player. And that's what we want to try and create also with this course. So I hope that answers your question. To combat this. Let's see. Elise, how to do things before shooting? Yeah, I kind of answered that question before, Elise. For the other question, when the nerves got really were building up before a shot. Ashley, could I ask a question on sport? Sure. I mean, if it's a mental question related to sport, why not? VJ, overcoming sharking. Yeah, this is comes back to opponent tilt, right? You've played an opponent. I've had a couple of opponents in the US that were really tough to handle, where they were talking to you and like saying negative things. And before the matches, I would already be like psyched up because I had to play this player. And again, it's very challenging. Catch yourself, stick to the game plan, use your tactics, go back to the chair and see how you're doing in the chair. Right? Work on the breathing, and really try to block him out. It's never going to happen 100%, but at least don't get in that fight mode where you want to get aggressive on a player, right? That's what you have to stay mellow to execute your shots. Very big thing. Caroline, thanks for answering. You're welcome. To do. Archie Fernandez Cardona. What do you do when you have multiple thoughts on a specific shot that you're going to shoot and it's hill? Well, I hope you're not talking when you're actually shooting the shot, because then the first thing is you need to get back up, right? If you're still over the shot and you're not clear of what you're going to do, then what's actually happening is your focus is divided, right? One part of your brain is still thinking, is searching for a solution, analyzing the problem at the table, and the other part of you is trying to execute, but you don't have a plan to execute because you're not sure. So it's like, it's the perfect win-win for a miss or mistake. So before you shoot, you always have to be 100% ready to shoot your correct shot. And it might not be the perfect shot at that time, but it's your correct shot. And that, if you have two choices, stay up from the table until you have one choice. That's the biggest thing. And when it's hill, I spoke about this before a little bit. Take that extra time. When the pressure sets in, guys, sometimes our brain is not functioning 100% because simply not enough oxygen is getting there. Our system is so geared up and we're not breathing right. So this part of our brain sometimes, the front side of the brain, isn't working as great. So we make bad decisions. So keep it simple, baby steps, right? Make that right solution. Maybe go back to the table, like I said, take a sip of water, turn around, and then your brain maybe had 10 seconds extra to analyze what was needed at the table, and then you're ready for the shot, right? It's hill, pretty important moment. So we want to make at least the right decision. We don't want to be thinking about 2 shots. It's too much. If you need an extra minute, take the extra minute. I've taken 4 minutes over a push-out or a tough safety that I had to execute in a tournament. If it's something you haven't seen before and you need to work it out, that's sometimes how it is. If it's a shot clock, different story. But if you have the time, sometimes you got to do it. So I hope that answers your question. Here's a question from Ignacio about the players from Latin America, if I think they have the mental power to be in the top 10 of the world. I think the Latin American players have a lot of potential, and I actually think they have a lot of billiard knowledge because 3-cushion is a big game over there. So the players that I've seen come over are actually extremely good at safeties and kicking the ball because they have that knowledge from the 3-cushion table. But the thing that's missing, what I think, is consistent competition. They don't come to tournaments enough to get used to the pressure, to get used to the level, and to take that back into their own training system. So they maybe come out once every 3 months, once every 4 months to a big tournament in the US, for example, or once every 6 months. And then they have one tournament, but they're under a lot of pressure because they only play that one tournament. And then it's harder to build that level up, right? If you're competing more and more and more, like tournaments in a row, then you get used to the pressure more. There's a lot of guys here in the chat that are aware of that. There's a lot of rain outside. I hope it's not too sharking you guys too much. But like I say, if you go play more and more tournaments in a row, then you build up that level faster. So I think that's what the Latin American players could use, in my humble opinion. So we talked about getting sharp. We got that one. Let me see. During the match, guys, it's we got about 15 minutes left. So you can also ask some technical questions now if you would like to. But if there's more mental, I really appreciate that. Let me see. We got Björn Eric Overland. Oh, this is a good one. He says, listen to this one, guys. Do you accept all your thoughts, or are you trying to make them go away? Well, this actually comes down to the fundamentals of meditation and the misconception of meditation, actually, because people think that when you're meditating, or if you pick up meditating, that they can stop thinking. They think when you meditate, then when I do it correct, I have zero thoughts, right? I'm blank and I can play the game perfectly. Guys, that doesn't exist, and it will never be that way. You will have phases in your meditation of maybe a minute or two, whatever. The more you do it, the more you will get it, of where you're stillness, right? Big thing, mental space, right? But the key to meditating is that you can see that highway of thoughts, all these thoughts racing around, and that you're not so involved in them. You're not jumping around in your highway from thought to thought, and oh, I gotta do this, and that guy said that, and I should have done that, and he made me feel like this, and now bing, 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 you're all over the place. Meditation trains you to sit on the side of the road and look at your thoughts. So you're kind of disconnected to all this. And that's going to give you way more peace and more quiet, more energy, more focus, and more relaxation. So great question. And that should answer that one. Okay, let's do a couple of technical ones, because there was a lot of technical questions also. Jan van Lierop, a little bit late, but you're here, buddy. It says, Ariel Manalo, he says, any drill that you can recommend when it comes to mastering your stroke? I think for all like snooker and pool, I think straight in shots are very important. Straight in follow shots, where you try to follow the cue ball in after you make the shot. That's a very good one. Or draw the cue ball all the way back in the other pocket. If you make a straight line from pocket to pocket, corner pockets. That's very big to train your stroke. The Mighty X, big one. Billiard Brothers have it. I'm sure Darren Appleton has many good drills for a technical efficiency. Stroke builders. Yeah, so straight in shots, start with that. I think that's the best thing you can do for mastering your stroke. Sven Neighbors. How do you deal with being too perfect and perfection? And he says, how to deal with being too perfection and balance risk in the shot. I think this comes down to just the perfection side of your personality. I think that's the question. Sven, is that correct? Perfectionists, what they have, and I'm a pretty perfectionistic when it comes down to it on occasion, and I'm a recovering one. So the thing is, perfectionists, they don't like to make mistakes. You know why not? Because they're gonna think that everybody doesn't like them anymore. That's the thing. They're unlovable is another word for it. So when a perfectionist makes a mistake, he feels pretty bad. So he's gonna try and build a shield around himself on occasion. He's gonna try to do whatever he can to avoid the mistake. And what's gonna happen is he gets too cramped because you can't hold it up. What you have to be aware of as a perfectionist, and this is huge, if you do not make a mistake, you cannot get any better, right? When my kids learned how to walk, they would fall on their butt all the time. All the parents in the chat here know about this. What do? You don't pick up your kid and say, that's unbelievable. Why do you fall down? That's stupid, this and that. No, the kid gets up, you say, hey, good try, we'll try again, I help you out. And before you know it, they're walking 6 months later or whatever. But the thing is, perfectionists need to have more compassion with themselves. they have to start talking to themselves like one of their best friends, right? They have to cuddle themselves a little bit more, so to speak. They have to be nicer to themselves. So perfectionism is a trap, and it's dangerous because you can really harm yourself with negative self-talk, and you can get in some serious slumps and periods where you're struggling, low confidence. So be aware that you need to make mistakes to improve in this game. If you cannot make mistakes, you cannot see where you can improve. And that's the coolest thing about the game, is keep having areas where you can improve. So I hope that answers your question, Sven. Let's see. What else do we have? Mental edge to arts. Ooh. Robert Braga. Question, how do you apply the mental edge for competitive pool players to art, in case to music, or maybe my music, because I also produce house music for people that didn't know this. I think it's linked to the perfection side that we just spoke about. People with creative jobs, art, music, what have we, photography, perhaps. I think perfectionism is a big trap for those people. They're going to put their work out there and it's going to be criticized. That's just how it is. If we go out into the arena and we show ourselves, that's how I link it to pool, we will be criticized. That's just how it is. There will always be people that love the way we play. There will be people who don't like the way we play, and there will be fans that don't care. So in the end of the day, you cannot please everybody. That's just the way it is. So that should already start making you feel a little more relaxed. Then I think the key to these jobs is you are following your passion in life, right? And there's a lot of people out there that are not doing that, or who are afraid to follow their hearts, follow their true passion, and what they do is criticize the people that do. So I think you have to have a mentality of, you know what, I'm doing this because I want to do this. It makes me feel alive. It makes me happy. And I don't care what people think about it for arts or for sports. You're doing it because you feel it gives you something. Go for it, right? Stay with it and don't get discouraged. Stick with it. So Robert, good question. All right. Clearing. Yeah. Matthew says in baseball we call it clearing the mechanism. That's actually from a movie with Kevin Costner. Marty Herman, how are you doing? Great education. What's your mental preparation? He's asking, Marty, thanks for the educational mental game. You're welcome. When you're shooting a crucial shot, what's your preparation? When I'm shooting a crucial shot, well, we spoke about this before, so just a recap. First of all, I want to be 100% sure that this shot choice that I'm going to make is something that I commit to. Then I want to try to get my body as relaxed as I can to execute it, right? So if I'm really nervous, I'm going to do something to break out of it. Maybe shake a little, take that sip of water, take a couple of really good breaths, focus, and then just let it go. Trust your muscle memory. You've been training for this. What else are you training for, right? This is what you're training for, to test yourself for this moment. So that's the crucial shot. We went over a couple of these examples, Marty, so I'm going to keep that one a little bit short. Joshua Filler, what's going on? Joining the party. We got a lot of great players here. Jesse, thanks for sharing your wisdom, Niels. You are welcome. Mats, thanks for the insight. Let me see if there's some more questions, guys, because we're going to wrap it up pretty shortly here. Wow. Anxiety. He has a good question. Andrew Jaworski. He says, thanks for the insights. You're welcome. How can you tell the difference between anxiety and excitement? Wow, that's a strong one. I feel pretty simple. Anxiety can be, for me, a negative thing, and anxiety is negative, and excitement is a very positive thing. If I'm anxious, it means I'm usually cramped. I'm anxious, I'm nervous, I'm a little bit frustrated. It's not a very positive thing. If I'm excited about something, I'm hungry, I'm positive, I'm energized, I'm pumped up. So you have to be aware of these emotions, of the difference between these emotions. And I think in the app Headspace, the meditation app, or I've seen it somewhere else, they do a test. I'm not 100% sure where I had it from, but you can set an alarm or whatever, 5 times a day, 3 times a day, boom, alarm goes off, and you have to describe how you feel. They did a test, I believe, that I think some people nowadays, they can't even describe 3 or 4 emotions, which is unbelievable. So it's to train to analyze how you feel, because we need to know how we feel to actually do something with it in a pool match. If we don't even know what we're feeling, what's going to happen? This is unbelievable. I'm feeling terrible. Down the elevator. Done. 9-1, right, guys? We've all been there. So awareness is huge of your emotions. It's absolutely huge. So if you don't know exactly what you're feeling a lot of time, if it's anxiety, nervousness, excitement, fear, panic, positive, negative, I could only name 4 there. So joy. No, but then it's time that you maybe have to do some exercises for this, right? So try to train that. That could really help. Oh, Margaret, you got a good question here. How do you deal with the pressure of the shot clock? How to not start rushing too much, which leads to misses? Yes, good question. I've been lucky enough, I've been playing 25 years. I've had a lot of tournaments with the shot clock, but I know exactly what you mean. And I think a really good way to train this is if you have a friend in your club that's going to time you, right? You need somebody to do the 25-second shot clock in practice, because if you're not used to it in practice, you will never be used to it in a match. And a lot of people, if they come to the semifinals, for instance, of the Euro Tour for the first time, you can see that they're not used to the shot clock. And this is such a waste, because these people have worked so hard, and all they're missing now is the experience from dealing with the clock. So mentally, you have to train yourself to be ready for this time pressure, right? And then what this action is going to do, it's going to help you to train your first hunch. Your first hunch, I mean, your first instincts about the shot. That's the only thing you have in that time. If you have 25 seconds, you step up to the table and you have 2 choices. You have speed thinking, better and better. So I would highly recommend having somebody there that can help you with the shot clock, at least half a set or maybe a full set. And you can do, maybe it's 4-4, and now that friend of yours steps in and he clocks the rest of the match. That's perfect practice. When I do, for example, the World Cup of Pool with Mark last year, my wife was actually clocking us for a little while when we were just playing doubles, but we could just feel that energy going up. It's like time, you have to make quicker decisions. So try that out. That's the first step. How's the rain, guys? Woo! Let's see. Guys, I'm going to do 10 more minutes and then call it a day. Volker. And what he says, man, did you hit the player? Oh. Volker asks a question here. In the moment of winning against a very strong opponent, what is more satisfying in your mind? That you beat that player or that you have solved the task? I'm trying to figure out how I should read this. I think this works both. I mean, if you have a player that you haven't beaten maybe 6, 7, 8 times in a row, and now you've finally beaten this player, we're saying like, don't play the player, play the game, but still you've managed to overcome this, then I think it's a very good moment to celebrate a little bit, right? I've had horrible streaks over the years with some opponents, and then I've turned it around where I might have lost 6 in a row, and now I've beaten them 6 in a row. So, for example, Joshua Filler's joining us right now. I had his number for a little while when he's still up and coming youngster. Then the first time he beat me at the Pinneberg Open, he was jumping up and down the the arena, and then he had my number for the next 5-6 times. So, of course, you're allowed to celebrate when you beat a player that you have been struggling with over the years. Nothing wrong with that. And then, of course, you have solved the task. But guys, that's just winning the battle. Try to win the war, right? This is just one match. Take it on. Keep going in that tournament, right? It's only one match. If you lose your focus, you have to play 20 minutes later, and nothing's happening because you're empty, then it didn't do that much for you. So keep it up, right? Let's see. Let's see, Walker. Niels, you've been wearing silly sunglasses. Great question. Let me see. Somebody's asking, Roman, if I also play snooker for training. Yes, sometimes I do. If I've been out of the game for a while, if I've taken like a 2-week vacation or something, and then if I would start playing pool right away, maybe I also would get a little bit frustrated if I'm missing easy shots. But if I go try do something creative, play some snooker or 3-cushion, then the game is in a way fresh, and it's like a new dimension, and it doesn't bother me as much if I make a mistake and I'm still hitting balls, my arm's loosening up again, and then maybe after 1 or 2 days I go back to the pool table and everything already gets a jump start. So I do try to mix it up. And snooker is also really good for the technical side of your game, right? You have to really have a steady arm to make the balls on that table. But also, guys, I would highly recommend playing some 3-cushion. 3-cushion, carom, it's great to mix it up. Great for your safety routes, kicking routes. Try to play all games, seriously. Yes, Niels, Jim Tover. Alan Tern, any meditation books that I can recommend? Now, I can't recommend any meditation books, but I work with the app called Headspace. I've meditated the first probably 19 years of my life just on my own. And then I found out there were so many apps that came out. So I started working with Headspace, which has a great program. There's a ton of these apps out there. They're unbelievable. And guided meditations. Because if you're picking this up and you're new to it, then maybe you're not so confident what you have to do, and maybe you drop it, right? Because you don't feel like you're doing it right. If you have somebody guiding you, that's really going to make things easier. So I would recommend that. Let me think. There's also free programs on YouTube, 100%. Do a little detective work, and I have some more information in the course about the links, but I can't think of them right now off the top of my head. Big League in a Race, Jake. Let me think. I'm going to do one more question, guys. And then to increase. Matthew, how do we prepare to increase the time between slumps? I think, Matthew, what you're trying to say is how do we, if we're having a bad streak, so between tournaments, how do we decrease that time? Because increase would make it only bigger. So I'm thinking you mean decrease the time, right? So again, let's say we come from a tournament that went really, really bad. From a personal experience, I had a European Championships. This is about 4 years ago in Austria. And for the Dutch players, if we have a medal, if we get a medal at the Europeans, we get financial support from the Olympic Committee in Holland. So the quarterfinal for the Dutch players is a huge match, right? If we win that match, we have the medal. So I didn't get off to a great start. I worked my way back into the Europeans, and I got to the quarterfinals in 8-ball. I'm up 7-6, guys, and my opponent takes a timeout, and it's my break. So he goes to the restroom and he puts me on ice, is how they say it. I'm getting cooled down. I can't do anything. So I get back up after 5-6 minutes. I break the balls. I scratch in the side. Worst thing that can happen, right? He runs out, and he breaks and runs out. 8-7. I lose the match. I'm shattered, and I play a horrible last 16 match, I think in 9-ball against Albin. I fell apart, played horrible. How do you recover from this? Right? That's the question. How do we decrease the slump? Because I was in a slump. That's how it felt. And I took it back. I took 2 weeks off. I went to the next tournament, which was the Deurne City Classic in Holland. I came to the tournament and I thought I was recovered, right? I was starting to practice again, but I didn't play a tournament yet. I start my first match against Mark Ray. And this feeling came back right away. I was like, what the hell's going on? I took 2 weeks off, and this feeling of how I ended the Europeans came back right away. And I said, oh man, what am I going to do? Guys, the only thing you can do is keep competing. Keep doing the right things, and you will get through it. I promise you. Within 2 days, I was playing the best pool again of my life, because I was lucky enough that the format there was a lot of matches per day, and sometimes all you need is one win. One match where you go over the hump and you feel like, I can still play, I can still do this. So there's nothing wrong with your game if you feel you're in a slump. It's all up here, right? Stay with it. Keep working hard. Keep working on things you can improve. And it's inevitable. You will just keep getting better and better and get through it. Really, I promise you. So guys, this was really great. Over 100 people joined in. Really good players. A lot of good people. Jimmy Warren was here. We had John Saline. We had Elise Q. A lot of cool people joined the party. So I hope I could answer a lot of your questions. I'm getting really dry throat now. So we did over an hour. So this was really, really cool. Once again, guys, this program is the most complete program out there right now, right? The Mental Edge for Competitive Pool Players. I've worked on this over 5 months and actually 25 years. So it came to be, I felt, like I said, it was time right now to put this product on the market for the mental side of the game. I felt there was nothing out there. And if I would have been playing the game for 2 years professionally, I wasn't the right guy to do it. But because I've been competing professionally for 25 years, I think I can speak from experience, and all the battles I went through, the highs, the lows. I feel I can guide you through this whole process and make it a hell of a lot faster and give you a ton of knowledge about the mental side of the sport. So go check it out. Don't forget the subtitles in German for the German fans, the German speaking people, Chinese, and Spanish for all the Spanish talking people. So I got you covered, right? Then the workbook, the quick learn guides, 33 videos and slides. After the course, you got the 30-minute Skype session with me, one-on-one, to ask more questions, guide you a little bit more on your road to becoming your mental giant. And let's do this. I'm ready. I'm waiting for you guys. So I hope you had a lot of fun, and let's do this again soon. This was great. I hope everybody's healthy. I wish everybody a lot of strength, and rack them up hopefully soon, guys. Take care. Have a great night. Bye.